This movie cost him like $600K to make.
For real?
Yeah.
I don't think they were able to make any more.
How did this thing cost that much money?
You have to pay however many people to draw full
Yeah, that's
time.
true. I guess traditional animation.
They're Canadian, so it's not like you can just get off with paying them super cheap like Disney did.
Yeah, you're paying these people in Canadian dollars.
Right.
Real live Canadian pesos, not those, Republic credits.
I don't take your public credits. Only pesos.
Do you think if you get hired for a job like this and then they tell you, sorry, we can only pay you in Republic credits?
Yeah, well,
No.
only redeemable at Star Wars
Galaxy's Edge.
Galaxy's Edge.
But even then, it's not redeemable in the Tatooine section. It's only in certain
Only
sections.
the Imperial sectors.
Welcome back, everybody, to Star Wars Total Rewatch, where we're talking and doing talking about Star Wars.
And boy, do we have a show for you today. Sadly, it is our last Droids episode movie thing.
Yeah, we're never going to see these droids again. This is the last time.
Yep.
Turns out these are not the droids we're looking for because they did not generate enough revenue for Lucas, so they only did one season.
Yep.
But we should probably introduce ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
The Star Wars Total Rewatch boys.
I don't
Back at
think
it
I wanna
again.
be that, but but I'm Aaron,
I'm Cody.
I'm Daniel.
and you're
Listening to Star Wars Total Rewatch podcast.
all right. Well, this is the Droids made for TV, just long enough, I guess, to qualify as a feature film. The Great Heep.
You could probably just call it a double episode.
It's a triple episode.
Is it?
Well, it's only 50
50
minutes
minutes?
long.
So it's almost a triple. It's a 2.5 episode long.
So in case anyone's curious, the definition of feature length, minimum length, is 80 minutes,
Oh.
if you ask the Screen Actors Guild. But the American and British Film Institute say anything longer than 40 minutes can qualify.
Well, we'll go off the British one because this totally qualifies.
So there you go.
It's long enough to tell a story where maybe a 20-minute episode is not enough time.
This is also written by Ben Burt, so he is all over these droids stories.
So this one takes place just before we meet Mungo in that. What episode was that?
10, Tale of the Rune Comet.
So this takes place between episode 9 and 10.
Yeah.
Chronologically. I hope you're all keeping track out there with your timelines.
It was never really explained how they joined the service of Mungo Baobab.
Yeah, what's a brief summary before we get into it?
What is a Great Heep?
A brief summary: R2-D2 C-3PO head to this planet to enter the service of Mungo Baobab. However, this peaceful planet, which Mungo is in the process of setting up a trade route with, is suddenly attacked by the Galactic Empire, and the Empire dispatches a giant evil droid.
And that droid is the Great Heep of the title.
And then R2-D2 C-3PO get captured, and there may be a harem of droids involved. Who knows?
Who knows? It gets wild and wacky.
Anything might happen.
You gotta stop that Great Heep.
One thing's for sure, these droids are in trouble again.
And no kidding. This is actually a really good movie. I like it. It's just like really intense, like kind of scary. Like I would be kind of scared watching this as a kid.
I was thinking that too. There were a few parts that were kind of a bit intense for,
Yeah.
at least compared to what we've seen previously in this series.
Right. I was gonna say compared to the other episodes, like most of the rest of this cartoon is kind of goofy. A lot of it. This is like a pretty serious movie. There's some stuff, but if you're gonna watch any of the Droids series, you could probably just watch this movie and you get a good feel for it. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe. I thought parts of it were pretty good. There were a lot of different things that happened. Some of them were very strange and didn't necessarily all fit together.
Yep, there's definitely your general droid shenanigans in this.
Yeah, now I mean it's all still kind of silly. It's not a scary thing, but if you're the target audience of like a young kid watching it, I could see this being a little frightening.
Yeah.
It's not full on silly wacky. That comes later in the episode.
Yeah, there is some of that too.
And my goodness, the Great Heep, his backstory is big.
Really?
The article on Wikipedia for Great Heep, the robot, is about 10 times as long as the Great Heep article for the movie.
Well, okay then. Because almost all of that is not in the cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
The cartoon didn't give much about where did this guy come from.
Yeah. Apparently he's a sentient robot race called Abominor, an extragalactic species of advanced self-constructing droids, which is crazy. And I did not realize there was that kind of stuff in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it sounds amazing.
Is he part of that race, you mean?
That's what they said. They're called Abominors.
Oh, I thought he was like one of a kind.
Apparently not.
They came
Okay.
from a different galaxy.
What?
Yep, I know.
I like the idea of coming from outside the galaxy, even though that fact is even less canon than this cartoon because they didn't say it. But we talked a little bit before about do they ever leave the Star Wars galaxy? And they never do in any of the in the movies or shows or anything that I remember. But that's an interesting idea. What else is out there?
Well, and like Star Wars doesn't always follow realistic science, but
No.
to travel across a galaxy would take forever. To travel from another galaxy would basically be like impossible. So if anyone's gonna do it, it would be a robot.
Yeah, or the Reapers.
Exactly.
There's actually a couple of things that have come from the other galaxies into the Star Wars galaxy.
The Yuuzhan Vong, is that one of them?
Yep, the Yuuzhan Vong.
I haven't read them, but aren't they like one of the big villains from some of the like the New Jedi Order books or something?
Looks like it. New Jedi Order, yeah.
Yeah. I think he's an interesting idea, this Heep.
Yeah.
He's a great heap of robot.
He sure is.
But yeah, he's an interesting idea. I mean, for all the, droid liberation stuff you might want, I feel like the Great Heap is a good argument for keeping droids from getting too much independence.
I mean, like, most of the droids in Star Wars are, like, not really sentient. They just do their tasks that they're programmed to do.
Yeah.
The reason they wipe their memories is because they can kind of develop a sentience, like a R2 and 3PO.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. This guy's just been around so long and built so much onto himself.
Well, they are like a race of droids who are like fully
like
sentient.
V'ger.
Yeah, which seems uncommon for Star Wars. Like, I don't know if I've ever heard of that.
And he's an interesting thing. He's kind of made me think of the Sphinx.
Sure, just the way he kind of looks.
Yeah, he's kind of a big block with a big mouth in the front.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the big sand lion in Aladdin.
Oh.
It's just this really huge, intimidating face.
Yeah, okay. He was like that if that was a robot.
Yeah.
So Ben Burt put out a book in 2001 called The Galactic Phrase Book and Travel Guide, which is apparently supposed to be like an in-universe Star Wars book.
Nice.
And in it, he goes into great detail about the Great Heep.
Sort of a hitchhiker's guide, you might say, to that galaxy.
I think that's kind of what he was going for based on the...
Nice.
But yeah, he's working for the Empire here. And
I'm not really clear. Was he like going from one planet to another, just kind of taking its resources and leaving, or did he specifically want to come here and just stay here?
The Empire sent him there.
so Mungo is here. He's always on the hunt for precious resources, I think. And he found this planet. He's like making friends with all the locals and stuff, and he shows them this fuel source that he found, which is like some kind of gem. And he said he's gonna work with the locals here to set up a trading system, probably with the Baobab Merchant Company, right? So it's like this is really a good way to do business where you're gonna benefit the local people, give them what they deserve, for the resources that they have. But then the Empire, I think that the idea is that they are also here trying to mine this stuff. They're definitely mining, so they must have also found out about it or something. But the way the Empire gathers resources is by just devastating a planet.
It's not very sustainable.
Yeah. So I think they sent the Great Heep here because this is what he does.
They're kind of in an uneasy alliance. General Screed and the Heep kind of seem to know each other.
Sure. Well, it's like he's working for them.
Yeah, they're working together, but like he doesn't have to be.
No.
He's kind of powerful in his own right, but it's like, well, I'll get something out of it, you'll get something out of it. We'll do this job together here.
But yeah, we definitely see Screed not in control here. The Heep is in control here.
Yeah, he's interesting. He's big. He's much bigger than Screed. So when they're talking to each other, I feel like you could just steamroll over him if you wanted to.
Yeah, he's a very intimidating presence. I thought that they were really effective in making him a scary villain. Let's try to get through this movie, though.
Yeah.
Did we mention about how R2-D2 and C-3PO got captured?
It goes without saying that they got captured.
Yeah.
They got captured by some crazy, weird droid things with these giant teeth that, like, eat stuff.
We can explain how they get captured, because I think it's important. Mungo is on this planet already to set up this trade route, and then R2 and C-3PO are coming with one of the Baobab merchant vessels, and 3PO is going to be a translator for Mungo, because Mungo doesn't speak the native language here. So that's how they got set up with Mungo here, probably through the droid employment agency. C-3PO was really excited for it too. He said he's gonna get promoted.
He's like, I finally am gonna get to do what I'm programmed for.
Pretty much, yeah. But then a bunch of creepy, chompy robots come and
they were creeping,
chew up the whole ship, and
they're kind of like early buzzsaw droids.
Oh, the buzz droids. Yeah, you're right. That is similar.
They're like an earlier primitive version of them, even though they were technically after.
Well, an earlier version of that idea.
Yeah, definitely creepier. They had these giant teeth.
Right.
They look like teeth, and so they look like these creepy smiling things.
Chomp, chomp.
They look like something out of Futurama. They look more cartoony than...
Well, it is a cartoon, so...
It is a cartoon, but, the things in the cartoon tend to be drawn sort of realistically.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of times the droid designs look pretty standard Star Wars. These don't really look like Star Wars droids.
But, that's okay. Why not? Why shouldn't someone design a droid to have a goofy face?
3PO tries to reason with them. Says this is just all a big misunderstanding.
They don't listen to reason.
They grab him with a cable and they take him away.
Take him away.
I think those droids were just up in orbit to grab any ships that came in and take their droids.
Yeah, I guess so.
The Great Heep just wants all the droids to be servants and power sources.
Yeah, that's very creepy.
Yeah.
It just feeds off of the life force of R2 units.
No sympathy.
Yeah, what a heap.
What a great heap.
But yeah, so R2-D2 and C-3PO get split up when they're captured, and R2-D2 gets taken to some luxurious club thing.
It's the harem.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, what an odd choice of words to describe that thing.
I know.
Yeah, a harem.
They keep calling it that too.
Yeah.
But it's like this droid spa. They're all just lounging at the pool.
Yeah. There's a masseuse giving a little droid back rub.
Yeah.
There's a bartender droid.
Come on in.
Pretty sure there was one that strolls by in the foreground listening to a Walkman.
Yeah, there is.
R2-D2 finds the beautiful pink R2 unit of his dreams.
That's right.
Yeah, R2's got a love interest. I'm sure she has a name. I don't know what it is.
But yeah, this whole spa is set up just to keep these astromech droids unaware, and then one by one they're taken, they're secretly snatched away from their little paradise and used as a power source to keep the Great Heap running.
Very brutal way.
Yep.
He eats them, and spits them back out, and they are lifeless.
Drains their power.
Spits out their discarded corpse.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh, and 3PO, on the other hand, is just put to hard labor. I feel like 3PO always gets the bad end of the deal.
Yeah, short end of the stick.
Short end of the gaffy stick. But while they're doing all this, there's a moisture. What do you call? There's a name for it.
Moisture sucker upper.
Moisture sucker upper. That's what I would call it.
Well, there's a moisture evaporator. There's
Yeah.
the small little things, but they called it something else.
Yeah, it's the same concept as a moisture evaporator, where it draws in moisture from the air.
Sure.
But this is on like a large scale, and it's taking all the water out of the air of the whole planet.
So everything else is just drying up, but
Yeah.
the moisture is all being collected to feed what, either the Heap or to do something with their mining operation. I can't remember
Well,
which.
the Heap also just does not operate well in the rain, so it might just be like acclimatizing the
Oh.
planet for him.
Yeah, he doesn't do well in water. That's what it was. It's kind of cool looking, like this hurricane spiral thing that's just constantly up in the air above them.
Yeah, there's this big tower and then this hurricane cloud. I wanted to also say the way the Empire just comes into a planet and they basically just it's like when you have a power,
Right.
unlimited power.
They can pretty much do whatever they want.
They can do whatever they want. When you're able to like traverse a galaxy, you can find a planet and just deplete the entire planet of all its natural resources. You can do that. And like here there's like a small civilization of some aliens, but they don't care. It's probably like out in nowhere, outer rim somewhere.
Yep.
No one's gonna ever find out. So the morals are irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
In one of the Force Unleashed games, you go to Fallujah, and
Mhm.
then you return later after the Empire has
Sure.
arrived and like completely enslaved and destroyed the area. And there's there's Sarlacc pits on Fallujah,
Oh.
and they
Yeah.
like set up some restraints for them, like to control them, contain them.
You're talking about the Empire sort of colonizing everything.
It's just that's their method. I don't know if it has everything to do with the Emperor. It's like there's a lot of people who are working for the Emperor.
The people who are doing these things at the lower levels would probably be doing the same things if some other bad guy was in charge.
There's this concept that like if you are told that something is allowed, if the person in charge says that this is an okay thing to do, people will follow that order, even if they initially feel like it's wrong.
Like they can shift the blame to somebody else. So it's like, well, I'm not doing anything wrong, this person.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, yeah, or I don't know, I'm just following orders. It's fine.
Right.
You just wonder like how all these Imperials ended up so twisted into thinking that this is okay what they're doing. And not all of them do, You get guys like Finn.
There you go. There might be a lot more Finns out
Traitor.
there.
TR8R.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Great Heap has Baobab locked away where he's like dying of thirst. And he convinces C-3PO to go sneak into an underground vein of where it's dripping water to get to fill up his canteen. Apparently everybody just hates Baobab for some reason.
Oh, he's always taking out the bad guys.
He yells at them.
Baobab!
Curse you, Baobab. The Great Heap says that too. Like everybody. Is it just Baobab that's imprisoned?
Yep, they were going to take him to the Empire. They say that they're going to put him in stasis, like freeze him, while he's transported to the Emperor.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, so he goes in the cave to get some water, and he meets this little boy that we saw earlier.
That kid and his dog.
Yeah, a boy and his dog.
Yeah, one of the natives.
What's the kid's name? Reg?
Fidge.
Fidge.
Very alien-like, of course.
He kind of felt like not so much an alien as like a kid in a foreign country.
Yeah.
Kind of like a street kid or something.
Yeah, like a short round.
Yeah, basically like that in Indiana Jones. He speaks a little bit of English. There's a part where he was supposed to go find like an astromech droid, and he's like, "Yes, Artus, me get."
Yeah, well, he doesn't speak basic very well.
No, and it was fine. He also spoke a lot in his own native language, which had no subtitles.
Kind of sounded like the Twilight language.
Hmm.
You hear a lot of that in Knights of the Old Republic. That's what it reminded me of.
Sure.
Maybe it's just their generic space alien language that they use for everything. But
It's not bocce.
although knowing Star Wars, somebody's probably written out an entire language for these people.
And his dog is kind of just like a dog with little suction cup things, or like a little kangaroo or something. I don't even know.
Yeah, kind of like a little kangaroo, but he's very good at digging.
Tunnel underground.
He can tunnel everywhere, and the kid hangs onto his ears.
Oh yeah, when he goes through the tunnels and they pop up out of the ground together. That's where they meet 3PO in the cave, because they are also collecting water for the other villagers. You know.
Presumably, or for themselves. It's the only place with water anywhere.
Well, they said everybody else was like hiding out somewhere, didn't they?
I think they're just back at the village,
Yeah.
but all the crops are dead, but there is an entrance to a pipe sewer system right next to the cage that Baobab's in. So that's where the kid and his dog jump into. They're sneaking around, so they're gonna like go get help or something, or they just leave. I don't even know.
I'm not sure.
So then he tells 3PO to go into the pipe after them.
Yeah.
Go try to find them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, but then some wheel droid
Chases him out.
really had no point.
Yeah, there are a lot of just odd, different kinds of droids. I guess when the Heep has all these droids serving him, it allows the design of a lot of weird little droids.
Some crazy ideas.
Yeah, there's this wheel droid just rolls around. I don't know.
Screed shows up. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
He stands on the Great Heep's claw hand.
Yeah, he lifts Screed up so he can talk to him like face to face. That's kind of fun.
No, but like the Great Heep is not your ordinary droid. Like he's not just like here following orders.
Yeah. He is like an employee almost, or partner with Evil Empire.
Smarter than your average droid. I don't know if he's smarter. Just more
Bigger.
Yeah,
he's bigger.
It's a lot bigger.
I think the main difference is just that he is serving himself, whereas all the other droids you see are pretty much all serving some other master.
Yeah, I mean, he's fully self-aware and sentient.
Yeah, so like if some other droid was able to get around his programming and decided like, nope, I'm doing what's best for me, I mean, they could end up that
I mean,
way.
I've always kind of liked the technology of Star Wars, where it's like, what would happen if anybody in the world, or in this case, a galaxy, had access to super advanced technology? Like, this is how you end up with Darth Vader, who's like barely alive,
Yeah.
you know, somehow still alive because of all of this robotic stuff attached to him.
He's more machine than man.
Yeah. And then in this case, you have it to be inevitable that somebody's going to invent basically an AI who would completely go rogue and do whatever they want.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. So I guess they finally decide to escape at some point. So they give Mungo a saw, so he gets to manually saw his entire way out. Instead
Out
of,
of these iron
some sort
bars,
of laser cutter or something.
We see in this same movie that R2 has a laser cutter, so I don't know why he doesn't just use that here.
Well, because the local kid gave it to Mungo.
Oh, because R2's not here. Never
sure.
mind. He's still at his the Ritz.
Like, that's all they have is this saw. He's going to have to just use that. But yeah, Mungo is in rough shape.
3PO and the boy and his dog go to rescue R2 and show him what the true nature of his beautiful spa is like. So while 3PO is trying to explain to R2 and the gang what's going on, R2's girlfriend gets captured and she gets eaten.
Aw, pretty sad.
Hear her screaming outside.
It's off screen. You don't see her.
Yeah.
And then you just see her dead corpse.
He finds her lifeless corpse, yeah.
Yeah, he finds it. He tries to recharge her, but it's no use. Can't be done.
Oh, that little pink egg droid.
So sad. Poor R2. So C-3PO tried to save him here, save R2, but then like 3PO gets picked up And then later R2 gets picked up, and there's just kind of this long sequence.
They're carried away by these big magnets, and it just
Well,
gets
yeah, it's the Great Heep.
it just gets kind of crazy though for a while. They're like inside all the machinery.
Right. Then they're in like the big factory,
Yeah.
which they set up. That's like the mining
Mm-hmm.
facility. Oh yeah, there's this Doctor Droid is gonna cut apart C-3PO for scrap. He's got his buzzsaw out.
Yeah, that's a little much.
I know, like that. These are the kinds of things I was like, man, this is like scary for kids. Their heroes are in peril.
Right, like it feels like they're in peril here more than it usually does in these stories. It's usually just people, like we said, kind of flopping over.
Right. Pretty lighthearted.
I think just the scale of everything is part of it. They're usually just running into things their size. Here, it feels like they are very small inside of a giant machine or factory or whatever. Like you see that, I think, the way like the camera is zoomed out a little further than usual, maybe, so you can see kind of how small they are around the stuff.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. Everything does just feel big. But this whole sequence feels a lot like the droid factory in episode 2.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of clanking machinery and things chomping other droids.
Yeah, true that.
And,
Conveyor belts and
and
stuff.
of course, our heroes getting stuck in giant bowl bin things.
In a bowl. Get a bowl on his head for some reason. R2 has like a hook that comes out of the top of his head, which we've never seen anything come out of the top of his head before. And he zip lines down a wire.
Oh man, yeah. R2 is James Bond like multiple times in this movie. I forget if we mentioned
All
this
his gadgets.
Yeah, earlier, but he is like there's a part where he is parachuting over the edge of a cliff or something.
Yeah.
He's Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, that's pretty good in comparison.
There's a part when they're in the droid factory. The music for just a short little bit is from Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake, but synthesizer.
Oh. Wow.
Switched on Bach. Switched on Tchaikovsky.
Switched on.
That's an album of synthesized Bach music. That was like when synthesizers were a big thing.
Hooked on classics.
Yeah, basically.
Hooked on phonics.
You hooked on droids.
That's, yeah. I'm hooked on droids.
Anyway, just thought that was kind of strange. A piece of real life classical music.
Is it fair use or something?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I guess so. I mean, I'm sure it's public domain. But like, why?
Hey, we don't have to make new music. I don't know. Odd choice.
Yep. Anyway, there you go. Yep.
Nothing says Star Wars like Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, so the droids get captured and then thrown in an incinerator and then escape.
I know, it's a lot of...
like third time.
They finally do escape. So Mungo gets out of his cage. He saws through the bar and gets out and meets up with the droids. Their plan is they're going to steal this ship. They needed R2 to break through the passcodes or something to allow them to fly it out.
Yeah.
But they say they only allow droids on the ship for like repairs and stuff. So Mungo digs around in corpses of droids.
Spare parts.
The remains of all the droids that the Great Heep drained of power.
That's true. It's like full on Hannibal Lecter. He's gonna wear the skin of droids.
Starts putting them on his body.
You guys are making this much darker than it needs to be.
The droids watch on in horror. There was a concept for the Force Unleashed. There's like a droid character. There was a concept though for him that he was obsessed with like becoming human, and he would like put skin on his parts of him. Like over parts of it. It's like super dark. They decided not to do that.
That's probably a good thing.
Why was that even like on the table as an
I don't know. It's
wow.
Really really dark, but like kind of an interesting idea, you know.
Yeah, you could explore that idea without having to be like graphic about it. But just the concept is interesting. I mean, like it's like the opposite of Darth Vader, where he's kind of becoming a droid. You could have one of them becoming more human.
Well,
right?
This is the opposite of that. Mungo here is doing the opposite of that.
He's just sort of putting on like bits of droid armor.
Yeah.
Kind of a patchwork droid costume that he makes.
Yeah.
Which I liked it.
Yeah, I
I
really
thought it
like
was funny.
He looks cool. Like,
Pieces
honestly.
keep falling off,
Yeah.
and he's like trying to kind of keep it together long enough to get past the guards.
Right. Also, meanwhile, here we get the kid and his dog. They steal this big mining bulldozer because they're still out to try to save R2. Like, they don't actually know that R2's already free. They can save the rest of the astromech droids.
Yeah, they end up just kind of breaking through the walls and liberating the whole group of them.
But here, when they hop in the bulldozer, you gotta make sure you get this shot. You gotta get this shot of him buckling up.
Oh, that's right. Wear your seatbelts, kids.
Wear
Don't be
your
like
seatbelt.
Tiggy. Wear your
That's right.
seatbelt.
I should make a poster.
You're right. There is a very specific close-up of him buckling his seatbelt.
Tiggy didn't buckle up. Tiggy's dead now.
Don't be like Tiggy.
Don't be like Tiggy.
Don't be like Tiggy. Buckle up.
Wow. That's not what happened to him. He gets captured by Java.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, news to us, they get set free. Prom Gang does.
Oh yeah, so we were looking up this like reference article earlier. What is it called? Droids Reanimated. Yeah, and it was like all this background information that came from
Written years later.
yeah, came from we don't really know what sources.
Questionable sources.
What happens to them?
I don't know.
The Froms got released somehow.
It's just a mention of that. It's not from anything but this random article that somebody wrote. Which is why I wasn't going to mention it in the...
Therefore,
Okay.
it's totally canon.
You're right.
I thought
It's
they
canon.
took it from comic books or something.
I don't know where they got that from.
Everything's canon. Come
Yeah.
on.
It's canon if you want it to be.
That's kind of how everything works in fiction.
Right.
It's just a matter of what you decide is part of the story and what isn't. Sort of the general consensus.
True. You can just decide to ignore certain crappy movies or TV shows.
But why do that when you can go back and rewatch every random thing that was ever made and podcast about
And
it?
you can always just pretend like it was a fevered dream of, somebody random and not actually.
If it was actually made into some form of media, then I feel like it has a little more credibility to be considered canon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than somebody wrote this once on the internet.
You're right. I thought that maybe they had gotten that stuff from like some old
No, it didn't
books or
sound like
something,
it.
but
Some guys wrote it. I don't know who they were. Maybe they
Okay.
worked on this show. Go look it up yourself.
yeah, if you know more about this, listeners, you can write in and tell us all about it. We'd be happy to hear. Meanwhile, what's happening here? The kids are liberating all the droids from their luxury suite.
Yeah, and the astromech droids are preparing for battle.
And it's totally a callback to, what was the episode 5, The Lost Prince, where someone else also drives a bulldozer through,
Oh, that's right.
through a wall.
The Lost
Driving
Prince.
bulldozers through walls since 1985.
It's also a callback to that time they buckled up in a previous episode. I don't know.
They did, didn't they?
Yeah.
No, I feel like they did in their speeder at some point.
That was the very first episode with Mungo.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness. This is all coming full circle.
Tale of the
Tale of
Rune
the Rune
Comet.
Comet.
Man, even Droids was copying Droids.
Man, at this point, yeah. The villains in this movie actually don't feel very incompetent. For the most part, they have the upper hand.
Yeah. And Screed always knew his job. It was just like the people working under him that were messing everything up.
R2 starts trying to hack into this ship that they sneak onto, and it sets off an alarm.
Right?
Like an alert signal that
Like
Screed
Screed
has.
was actually smart and put in
And he's like, oh, someone's trying to break into the ship. Okay, great.
safeguards. Yeah.
They're not stupid. But then Mungo, in his droid getup, tries to talk his way out of it. Starts complaining. I think he's doing his best C-3PO impression.
yeah. It was pretty good.
Yeah. Like, I can't believe these conditions. I'm rusty, getting all rusty or something.
Yeah, he's hoping they'll just think, this droid, just
Yeah.
go already. And it almost works.
And then he waves a hand and its glove flies off. It gives away.
And they're like, oh, there's a human hand. You are definitely Mungo Baobab.
R2 manages to take off with the ship. He leaves
Yep.
Mungo behind, who's like fighting here.
He's learned to fly well enough to hit what he's aiming for, apparently.
He's still not great at flying. He's kind of just going all over.
Yeah.
And and also the kid and his bulldozer come in to help, and all the astromech droids chase stormtroopers around.
I loved that. Just the droids just come streaming out of the gates.
Right. Hey, I mean, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Oh, but here he comes, the Great Heep.
What's the meaning of this?
Well, the Great Heep is like mad at Screed because Screed was supposed to like have things under control out here.
Yeah.
Well, they're both blaming each other.
Sure. But right, this is where you kind of see like, it's like, sure, Screed is the one overseeing everything and you know, working for the Empire. But like at this point, right now, the immediate present here, he's kind of shouting up at this gigantic robot.
Yeah, what could just easily squish him.
Right.
He almost does squish him.
And the Great Heap sends up his transformer droids, I guess. He gets like these two little transformer droids, but they don't know how to transform into the right thing. And so there's like this dumb couple-minute sequence of them. Just
That was kind of dumb and kind of random.
That was when it went full-on kid mode.
Yep. It's just like a cloud of dust, and these two droids have transformed into some other weird combination. And I'm like, is this supposed to be funny? I thought he was going to call out the droids. There were these big droids from before, like these enforcers.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the time that actual Transformers, like the cartoon and the toys, were a big deal.
Okay.
So I think they maybe just put those in as kind of a little spoof of that
Sure.
thing.
Right.
Like, here comes some Transformers. Nope, they actually don't even know what to transform into. They're trying different combinations. They're all just something dumb that can't accomplish anything.
Yep.
I mean, it still wasn't very funny. It
No.
was pretty dumb. But I think that's maybe what they were going for.
The biggest issue is it just did not fit with the tone of the rest, like everything surrounding this point.
Yeah.
Like, this is like a pretty intense, serious moment near the end of the episode, and you just throw in this stupid joke.
Trying to lighten things up. That's very in line with some of Star Wars.
Sure, there you go. Out of place jokes just to keep things a little light.
That's probably where the prequels got it from.
Gosh. Yeah. All right, the Great Heap just throws this disc into the air. It's a discus.
That shows you how big he is. He's just
Sure.
They're trying to get this ship that R2's flying. He just throws a thing at it and hits
Right.
it.
And R2 angles the ship to fly directly into the moisture tower and explodes. And that's the end of R2D2.
Yep. Just
There you go. And then C-3PO starts to cry. It zooms way in on his face, and then we start to see a couple tears here. And I'm like, what? C-3PO doesn't.
What?
How can he cry?
Oh,
yeah. it's
you're
very
right.
weird.
Because he's not crying. It's raining.
That's pretty good. I
Oh.
did not pick up on that.
Yeah.
I thought he was just crying. I saw it, I was like, that's weird. And then it's just
No.
There's a good shot of the Heap looking at
Oh,
the
yeah.
thing getting destroyed and like
You see the
The-
explosion reflected in his eye.
reflecting in his eyes.
Once it starts raining and the thunder and stuff, the Great Heap starts to just go insane. How can they possibly stop it?
how can
Well,
they?
the same way they stopped the Wicked Witch of the West.
You're
By
right.
pouring,
Pour water
by
on
pouring
it.
water on it.
Water.
It's the-
It kind of has that feel to it.
It's got some pretty horrible screams, too.
yeah, it was terrifying.
He's melting because they broke the evaporator, so the rain is coming down, so there's a thunderstorm happening at the same time, right? You get all
Yeah.
the flashes of lightning.
Well, I'm guessing the weather is like totally out of control.
Yeah. No, that whole sequence was kind of crazy.
You know, these are some really cool shots, though. Just the coloring,
And the water is running down
Yep.
3PO and all the droids too. Like, that's pretty good animation.
flashes.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
In 3PO's bravest hour, he's like, this guy killed R2. I'm gonna fight him,
Yeah.
even if it's the end of me. But Baobab just pulls him away. He's like, no, you're gonna get crushed if you go that direction.
The kid falls in a trench. Baobab rushes over to try to protect him, and it looks like the Heap he's gonna smash them. But then his arm gets struck by lightning and falls to the side. the close call, and then he finally stops moving.
The rest of him melts. His like lights kind of shut down and whatever, and
Super epic.
Yeah, it's like you know, it's like the ending of War of the Worlds, just killed by water.
Killed by water.
Oh yeah, such a simple thing can undo the greatest of enemies.
Well, it's not his natural environment, you know.
Mm-hmm. So you get some good like wrap up happy endings here. They're rounding up the stormtroopers. The sun is out now. The grass is starting to grow again a little bit. You know, the people are celebrating. The giant heap of metal that was the heap is now just a heap of metal.
Right. The natives are all like dancing on him.
Bells are ringing.
They're on top of the heap with his
yeah, celebrating.
victory bell. But C-3PO is sad because R2's dead, and he's got like this little, looks like an electric toothbrush.
Yeah,
it's some kind of sound recorder. It plays R2 sound bites. He said this was a birthday gift or something.
Yeah, okay. A birthday gift from R2.
Yeah.
What is his birthday?
It's the day he was
It's manufactured
constructed.
day.
Yeah, manufactured date. He's probably got it like printed on
under a flap somewhere.
Yeah.
on his butt. That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, yeah, probably.
So he's pressing the button, and R2, listen to the R2 sounds, but then he hears more R2 sounds because it's R2. He's still alive. He just comes rolling
Yeah,
up.
and he hears some beeping, and 3PO says, "No, but I do mean it, R2."
R2? Here he is.
And here he is pulling his parachute behind him because,
right.
again, he parachuted out of the crash.
And then this scene is great. All the astromech droids are gathered around.
That's right.
Little pink girlfriend droid. He plugs into her, and then they all plug into each other.
Yeah, R2's girlfriend is going to be brought back to life, too.
They're all going to use their combined power sources to recharge her.
It's funny, but it's also, again, kind of an interesting idea that, like, the droids as a group are able to, like, do this.
Right.
They're each contributing a little bit of their electricity to, like, bring another droid, I don't know, back to life, repowering her.
I don't know.
Like, the way they're all in a circle like that with their plugs all connected, it feels like they're, I don't know, a larger...
They're organized.
Yeah, they're organized. They're doing something that's not just their work, right? They're,
part of a collective society.
Yeah, it feels like you're seeing a society developing.
That's right, yeah. And there's a cool shot that you see from Pink Girlfriend Droid's perspective, waking up. It's kind of blurry, and it gets clearer, and there he is, R2.
Oh, her hero. Funny.
Good stuff.
I don't know what happened to her. We don't see her in other things, but oh well.
Somewhere out there, R2's girlfriend is waiting for him.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he goes and visits her, like, in between movies. We don't know. So, yeah. So, happy ending. Good job, everybody.
Good job.
And that wraps up the end of Droids.
We kind of did a conclusion to Droids last episode, because that was the end of the season.
It's kind of sad to see it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just have 2 seasons now of Ewoks to get through.
What kept this show interesting for me was that the main characters were familiar droids,
Mm-hmm.
We got to see a lot of them. I am deeply concerned about the Ewok cartoons. It's going to be really tough, guys.
What? There are familiar characters there. You got Wicket, and you got...
yeah, it's going to be a tough one.
We'll do it.
So, maybe won't have quite as much to say about each episode of that. But who knows? Maybe we'll find things to enjoy about that too. We'll see.
The Ewoks opening theme song. We are the Ewoks.
No, it goes, we are the Ewoks. Yep. So you have that to look forward to. That's just a taste of what's coming next week, everybody, on Star Wars Total Rewatch.
That's right. Join us again. We'll catch you next time.
With some Star Wars Total Ewoks.
Uh-oh.
I have a bad feeling about this.